What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews. We've got a huge slate on the NBA today. I've got two plus money bangers and two players off the bench that are betting on that you don't want to miss. If that sounds interesting, let's go.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you guys have been well. Apologies, I did no video yesterday. My sickness finally caught up to me and I needed to get some rest. Not feeling 100% yet. I've been pumping all these teas, as you can see, but feeling good enough to get some content out. It's a big slate. There's a lot of opportunity. I couldn't miss this one. How did I go yesterday? I got a sweep on the Lakers game. All three picks I had for that game cashed, although I did get railed in the other two games because we were blessed with some unexpected blowouts. But what can you do? Keep moving forward. I've got a few picks for you. As I said at the top, I got two plus money plays. You know how I feel about plus money. And I've got two sneaky picks, two guys coming off the bench who I think are going to see some good opportunities today. So firstly, shout out to PropsMadness, the best tool you're going to find if you like betting on NBA player props. I got a link for it down below in the video description. You get a discount when you use that link. So go ahead and check it out. Let's talk about these plus money bangers, shall we? We're heading to the Knicks versus the Hornets. Both of these plays happen to be in this game. So let's talk about it. The very first one that I'm looking at, we're going to go with Josh Hart in this one. Josh Hart, and I'm taking him for over 4.5 assists. Now, Josh Hart this season, he's hit this line in only 7 out of 15 games, averaging 4.7 assists. Not the best hit rate in the world, but who relies on hit rate anymore? Because more context and layers need to be applied to this. So the first thing to call out here is that we still have no OG. And with no OG, Josh Hart has seen his minutes skyrocket. He's up to 33 minutes per game without OG in the lineup. Most recently, 38 minutes against the Brooklyn Nets. Now, he's projected for about 35 minutes in this game. Even though he probably comes off the bench, he'll play the same amount of minutes as Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns anyway. Without OG, he's over this line in 3 out of 4 games, averaging 5.8 assists. His potential assists are arousing. And the other thing to call out here is the matchup here against the Charlotte Hornets is absolutely splendid. The Hornets, not known for their defense, they allow the 4th most assists in the league. They also allow the 2nd most assists in the restricted area, where Josh Hart gets 36% of his assists. If he gets any offensive rebounds, you know he's going to be kicking it out to shooters or looking for cutters. If you watch the Knicks play ball, it's Josh Hart is the perfect role player, right? He doesn't look for his own shot. Even when the shot clock is running down, he's still trying to give the ball up. He's got a great combination with Brunson where he passes the ball to Brunson and Brunson typically looks to shoot afterwards. It's just a really low line for someone in this type of role who's looking to pass the ball as often as he does in an excellent matchup like against the Charlotte Hornets when you know he's going to see minutes because OG's not going to be there. I think this line's a little bit too low. And to get this for plus money, even better. So plus money play there for Josh Hart to get 4.5 assists. Now, all players do come with risk, and the risk is this. The risk is Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns dominating. Well, I'd say more so Jalen Brunson dominating the ball. Jalen Brunson typically dribbles the ball for 16 out of 24 seconds. If he doesn't have a shot, then he'll pass it off. Then Josh Hart may be able to swing the ball to corners or whatever it may be. But he can also create his own opportunities through offensive rebounds and then kick that ball out to get some assists that way. And also there's stuff in transition that Josh Hart can definitely do. But the reason why I say Jalen Brunson is the risk, not only will he dribble the clock out, 16 out of 24 seconds, but Jalen Brunson also has an awesome matchup to score today. The Hornets, 5th most points to pick and roll ball handlers. Korkbrenner, Diabate, they sit in a very deep drop. So I would not be surprised if Jalen Brunson sees a lot of volume in terms of scoring. He's got a great matchup to score. And if he has a lot of success early, might be a little bit difficult for Josh Hart to get his hands on the ball. But I think throughout the course of a 48-minute game, Josh Hart, as I said, create his own opportunities, get stuff in transition. Even if Brunson goes off in this game, I think Josh Hart might have a hand to play in it. But I'm just calling out what the risk is. If Jalen Brunson goes off for 40 today and no one else gets to touch the ball, might be a little bit hard for Josh Hart to get those assists. But a plus money, definitely down for that. So that's Josh Hart, over 4.5 assists. It's plus money on every single book right now as I record this. I got this at plus 120. So hopefully it stays there by the time you're watching this so you can get some massive odds. But let's talk about the second one. The second one we're going with is Brandon Miller. Now, Brandon Miller's back. He's only played 3 games this season. Well, 2.5 games. Well, not even half a game. 2 games in 1 quarter, because this game against Philadelphia only played 9 minutes before he got injured. He came back in his last game against the Los Angeles Clippers, played a solid 26 minutes. So in terms of minutes, he's projected for about 28 minutes, and that is more than enough for what I'm looking at here. And I'm looking to play Brandon Miller over 2.5 assists. This is plus money. I got this for plus 120 as well. Same odds as Josh Hart. So shop around and see where the best lines are. Now, Brandon Miller, we've got a very small sample size of data here. I do need to call that out, and that's probably the biggest risk in this play. But for 2.5 assists, playing 28 minutes, it makes a whole lot of sense to me. His assist numbers have been pretty good in the limited games he's seen. He's averaging 3.7 in these 2 games and 1 quarter that he played. But what I'm most excited about is the potential assist numbers. First game against the Brooklyn Nets, he had 9 potentials. Then in 9 minutes against the Philadelphia 76ers, 2 potentials. And then in his return game against the Clippers, he had 7 potential assists in that. So he's averaging 6 potential assists in an average of 22 minutes. I did some hood math and broke it down, potential assists per minute, then extrapolated that by the number of minutes he's expected to play, which is 28 minutes. And ultimately, it led to a pretty juicy number. He should get about 7 to 8 potential assists if he can keep doing what he has been doing so far this season. And if you're getting 7 to 8 potential assists and you only need 3 and you're getting plus money for it, give it to me. I like it. I like the look here for Brandon Miller. I think the other thing to call out here is the matchup against the Knicks. The Knicks are on the road, and I will say one thing about the Knicks being on the road: games tend to be close. They don't cover the spread very well on the road. So the Hornets might be able to hang with the Knicks here, so we shouldn't see a blowout either. And the matchup against the Knicks is a good one. They allow the 3rd most assists above the break and the 8th most assists in his position. Now, Brandon Miller is getting 45% of his assists above the break, but he's getting like, what's this? 9 plus 8. Oh, gosh, I'm not good at maths at all. 60-something percent. 60-something percent of his assists come from 3-pointers, right? And the Knicks do give up quite a lot of 3-pointers as well. 4th most 3-point attempts allowed. They're the 2nd worst team at defending spot-up shooters. So Brandon Miller, if he drives the ball and kicks it out, they should be some good looks. If he swings the ball around the perimeter to find someone like a Con Knipple, or if he finds a Miles Bridges who likes to camp corners, or if you find some Melo Ball who's not afraid to let that shit fly, there should be a lot of potential assists here, because a lot of the players who take the shots for the Charlotte Hornets love to let it fly from deep. Miles Bridges scoring a ton of his points from above the break. Con Knipple, he's scoring like 60% of his points from the 3-point line. LaMelo Ball, he's also scoring almost 50% of his points from the 3-point line as well. So tons of players who like to shoot from the perimeter. That's exactly where Brandon Miller likes to pass the ball to. So great matchup, projected to see 28 minutes. His potential assists have been excellent so far. Oh, the other thing to call out is history. What does history tell us? If we look at his potential assists, and let's say we cap them at 8. So let's say he's not going to do any better than he has so far this season. If we look at games between 6 and 8 potential assists for Brandon Miller, he's had 3+ assists in 24 out of his last 27 games, averaging 3.5 assists. So history tells us if he can maintain this level of potential assists, which I think he can, then the 3 assists should be a walk in the park. And the fact that we were able to get this at plus money is even better. So they're the 2 plus money bangers. Brandon Miller over 2.5 assists, and Josh Hart over 4.5 assists. Now let's get to the 2 sneaky plays. And I call these sneaky plays because there's some big fellas coming off the bench. First one we're heading to is the Grizzlies versus the Pelicans, and I'm betting on a fellow Australian. Even though we look nothing alike, this is what Australia looks like. If you've never been, Australia isn't full of people who look like Jock Landale, and it's not full of people who look like me. It's a very diverse country. None of us motherfuckers look the same. But we're all Australian, and I'm betting on Jock Landale. Apologies, I went way off the track there. It must be because I'm feeling better. I'm getting this surge of energy. But what the hell's the play, you ask? Jock Landale, I'm looking at over 4.5 rebounds. Now, he's over 4.5 rebounds in 14 out of 18 games this season, averaging 5.6. And that is not why I'm taking it whatsoever, because you have to apply a lot of context here. In like 80% of the games this season, there was no Zach Edey. So Jock Landale was playing 25 to 30 minutes. So I do need to call that out. Now, the one thing I like to do here on Props Madness is look at closing lines. So this tells you where lines close and whether that player was able to meet that or not. Now, when Jock Landale was in the starting lineup, his rebound line was typically between 6 and 7, right? 5.5, 6.5. That was his rebound line when he was in the starting lineup. Zach Edey returned here. And with Zach Edey in the lineup, Jock Landale's rebound line has been this. It's 4.5, in some games 3.5, but for the majority, it's 4.5. So the line that we're seeing right now is based on the assumption that Zach Edey's going to play. Now, Zach Edey's questionable for this game. He's suffering from migraines. He left early in that game against Denver because of the migraines, and Jock Landale played 31 minutes and he got 10 rebounds. Zach Edey's still being questionable for this one. So there's opportunity to get some big CLV here. If Zach Edey is ruled out in this soft matchup against the Pelicans, I would not be surprised to see Jock Landale's line move to 5.5 or even 6.5. 5.5 definitely still playable. 6.5 is where I'd start to hesitate a little bit. But the good thing is, even if Zach Edey plays, I still like the look here for Jock Landale. So let's take a look at the games when Zach Edey plays. We can see here, Jock Landale still covered this line in 4 out of 5 games. Now, if we ignore this game against the Denver Nuggets because Jock Landale played 31, he's not going to play 31 minutes if Zach Edey's playing his set of minutes. Zach Edey always plays 25 to 26. Nothing more, nothing less. So Jock Landale, if Edey plays, Jock Landale plays 15 to 20 minutes. And that's what he's done in these games. 5 boards against the Cavs, 7 against the Spurs, 6 against the Kings. He only played 5 minutes against the Dallas Mavericks here, and this is against the Dallas Mavericks when they were shorthanded. So the Dallas Mavericks went small, so the Memphis Grizzlies went small. Jock Landale didn't see many minutes. But in this matchup here against the Pelicans, firstly, the Pels, everybody knows this, have been getting dominated by bigs all year. They allow the 4th most rebounds to centers this season. The Pelicans have Derek Queen off the bench. They're running Yves Missy. If they want to go deeper into their bench, they've got some experienced vets in DeAndre Jordan and Kevon Looney. So they do have more of a front court, which leads me to believe that Jock Landale will still see his 15 to 20 minutes, even if Zach Edey plays. But this just has massive potential written all over it. He's covered these lines very well, even in limited minutes. If Zach Edey's out, he's going to get 25 to 30 minutes. And at 4.5, should be easy for Jock Landale. Well, that's what I'm thinking anyway. So Jock Landale, over 4.5 rebounds is the play. If Zach Edey's ruled out and this line moves to 5.5, I would still say it's playable. If it moves to 6.5, that's probably where I'll start to hesitate on whether it's worth it or not. But 4.5 where it is right now, I feel like it's an absolute steal. So I'm going with Jock Landale, 4.5 rebounds. That's the first sneaky play. The next one, we're going to the Houston Rockets versus the Golden State Warriors. And we're rolling with Clint Capella. Never thought I'd be saying that this season, but rolling with Clint Capella, over 6.5 rebounds today against the Golden State Warriors. Now, he's only hit this in 3 out of 14 games this season. He's averaging 4.2 rebounds. The big story here, and the reason why you have to take a look at this, is because Steven Adams is out. Steven Adams has been questionable in every single game this season, but he kept playing. Now he's finally out. No Steven Adams opens things up for Clint Capella. Now, the early projections have Clint Capella playing 25 to 27 minutes, which I feel like is a little bit too high. But even at 20 minutes, I absolutely love this. He's going to be the first player they bring off the bench. Şengün hasn't been rebounding very well as of late. If you take a look at Şengün's numbers, he's only had 5 rebounds in the last 2 games. And without Steven Adams, it feels like he's getting you can see he's getting rebound chances. He's just not securing boards. 5 rebounds from 15 chances against Denver. 5 rebounds from 17 chances against the Phoenix Suns. I think that's going to open up some room for Clint Capella to get shit done, because Clint Capella is a much better rebounder than Şengün, provided he gets the game time. Now, let's talk about Clint Capella and his rebounds. Firstly, the matchup with Golden State is great. 8th most rebounds to centers in the league. They've been giving it up to bigs, and that's because they often are undersized. Or they have Quentin Post, who has some size, but isn't a great rebounder for a center. Now, Clint Capella is an excellent rebounder for a center. It's pretty much the main thing he's good at. And if he's going to see extra minutes, I do like it. I also applied some hood math here. So he's averaging 4.2 rebounds and 10 minutes per game with Steven Adams off the court, which is like all of Clint Capella's time. Clint Capella averages like 0.41 rebounds per minute played whenever he plays without Steven Adams on the court, which is 99.9% of the time. The Rockets, not afraid to run 2 bigs in the same lineup with Şengün playing at the 4. So Clint Capella should get some minutes there. But anyway, applying the hood math of 0.41 rebounds per minute, the projections have Clint Capella playing 25 minutes at least. But even if I was to be conservative and say he plays 18 minutes, right? And I say 18 minutes because 18 minutes is the most he's played this season. Even if he plays 18 minutes, he should be looking at about 7.5 rebounds. Should be able to cover this. And this is close to plus money, I must say. It is plus money on DraftKings and Caesars, but I don't have access to those books. So if Clint Capella sees the 25 minutes, it should be relatively easy for him. In the games where he's seen the most minutes this season, like if the games where he's played more than 15 minutes, there's only been 2 games. 10 rebounds against the Celtics in 18 minutes, 10 rebounds against the Grizzlies in 16 minutes. If the projections are right and he plays 25, he should walk through this line. If the projections are wrong and he only plays 18, because that's the most the Rockets are willing to play him, I still like our chances here because the matchup is a good one against the Golden State Warriors. If you look at what Clint Capella's done historically against them, 11, 15, and 10 rebounds. And one thing to call out is he did all this in 24 minutes per game, which is pretty crazy. So if you run his numbers there, he's averaging half a rebound per minute against the Golden State Warriors in the last 3 games that he's played against them. If you run that same number through the 18 minutes he could be projected to play, then you're laughing. You're looking at 9 rebounds. Sorry, I could have done that in my head, actually. I didn't even need a calculator for that. I'm not saying he's going to get 9 rebounds. What I'm saying is if Clint Capella gets the opportunities I expect him to see, even at 18 minutes, love him to go over 6.5 boards. And at close to plus money, I think is a pretty sneaky look. So all eyes on Clint Capella. So that's all the picks that I've got for you. The 2 plus money bangers in that Knicks game. 2 sneaky plays with these centers coming off the bench. Hopefully they're bang. And if you did like the video, so make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Help your boy grow. We're doing this every single day, apart from when I'm sick. Obviously, that's a little bit difficult, but we're doing the best we can. Before I let you go, let me take you through some of the leans, some of the things I'm considering betting on, and then I'll get the hell out of here. So the first game, what do we have? Pistons versus Celtics. Nothing honestly screams out to me in this one. The Celtics are missing Neemias Queta, so they're a bit thin at the 5 spot. So the obvious answer is Jalen Duren to absolutely beast them down low. So I did consider his over in points, but the line did move on me. So is that 19.5 now? I feel like with the Pistons at full strength, like 19.5 points is very high for Jalen Duren. But I get the Boston Celtics are very thin down low. I will say that. So you could look at his points and rebounds. I'm not too excited by it. But nothing on this Celtics team excites me at all. I spoke about the Jalen Brunson matchup. Great matchup to score some points today. 28.5 is a relatively high line, though. A lot of things need to go right for Jalen Brunson to cover, but I do lean to his over, given I think the Hornets can somewhat keep this game close. For the Hornets, it's tough to say who's going to score. LaMelo, Bridges, Knipple, Brandon Miller all have very similar lines. If I was going to take someone from the Hornets to get some buckets, though, it might be someone like Colin Sexton. 12.5 points. When he's come off the bench, he's actually done extremely well scoring points. So even though his minutes are going to be reduced slightly, he doesn't have to share the ball with LaMelo, Bridges, Knipple, and Miller, because if he's the man off the bench, he typically has a higher usage rate. So Colin Sexton could be a sneaky play to get some points. Bucks versus Heat. Didn't bet on this one. A lot of game time decisions. Norm Powell, Andrew Wiggins, and Giannis. All very big ones, but one that I considered was Tyler Hero. His points and rebounds caught my attention, but he had a great return. He rebounded like crazy. 3.5 rebounds is low, but keeping in mind Tyler Hero is going to play less than 30 minutes in this game against the Bucks. And when I looked at his historical numbers, when he plays less than 30 minutes, it scared me off betting anything on Tyler Hero. So if we look at minutes, when he plays 20 to 30 minutes, he's hit this rebound line 63% of the time. You look at his points line, he's only hit the points line 36% of the time. So, yeah, if he's playing less than 30 minutes, and they have a ton of weapons, right, to score, don't love the points. The rebounds, they look okay, but they're pretty juiced at the moment for Tyler Hero. Tough to get good odds there. So pass on that. Khalil Ware rebounding like an absolute beast, but now it's at 11.5. We took this at 9.5 against Dallas. 11.5 at plus money. He has been killing it lately, but yeah, I'm just not too sure. It's a very high line to take somebody who's likely coming off the bench. Pacers versus the Raptors. Brandon Ingram should score quite well. We still don't have an RJ Barrett, although he did go off in that last game against Cleveland. I don't typically like betting on players after they just went crazy. So he just hit a season high. Although his matchup is pretty good to score. Scotty Barnes to get some rebounds is always a look. 7.5 boards. I don't mind it. He had 11 boards against the Pacers in the last game. The Pacers have been giving up a lot of rebounds, 4th most boards so far this season. So that's a look. Sandro Mamukelashvili, he's over in points, over 10.5. Is at plus money. It's going to be a bit of a sweat, though. He had 12 points against the Pacers. He probably finishes on 11 or 12 points, if I'm being honest with you, but I lean to his over. Jamal Shed and his assists. It's been a bit of a wagon as of late, but now the assist line's at 5.5. This was at 4.5 not too long ago. At 5.5, yeah, it's a pretty decent matchup, but his potential assist volume is not extremely high, so you need a good conversion rate. And it's pretty juice. So Jamal Shed to go over his assist prop, I don't hate it. In terms of the Pacers, obviously Siakam, Benedict Mathurin, and Andrew Nembhard are going to see a lot of the usage. Both Siakam and Nembhard covered their points line when they last versed the Toronto Raptors, but I will call out there was no Benedict Mathurin in that game. When it comes to these three, I probably like Benedict Mathurin the most to score points here. He scored very well this season. He just had an awful matchup against the Pistons, and he struggled in that. It's a bounce back spot against the Toronto Raptors, where the matchup is pretty decent. They foul a lot. Benedict Mathurin can milk some free throws. He can cook them in transition. He can operate as a spot-up shooter as well. I don't mind Benedict Mathurin. Wolves versus the Thunder. Rudy Gobert unders excite me in this matchup. There's a few unders, actually. Rudy Gobert unders, under his points and rebounds. Yes, he's done well lately, but these are all really soft matchups. He's got an awful matchup today. The other one is Anthony Edwards, right? Anthony Edwards, what's his line? 25.5, though, so it's relatively low. They've taken account how difficult the matchup is, so I'm a little bit on the fence about that. We've also got SGA is questionable whether he's going to play. I think he's got an illness. And without SGA and Jalen Williams, this Thunder team's not so scary. Well, in my opinion, anyway. They could come out and clobber them. So a little bit hesitant to really load up on that game. Grizzlies versus the Pelicans. For the Pels, I don't know who's going to score points for them anymore. They've got like a lot of different options. Zion's obviously should be the guy, but he picks and chooses when he decides to play. Historically, he's done very well against Memphis, but usually Ja Morant's playing in that game and he gets up for that. Trey Murphy's been their most consistent scorer. Derek Queen, and anyone who bet on Derek Queen got slapped in the face in the last game against the Bulls because Derek Queen only got 17 minutes despite starting that game. So who knows how many minutes he's going to play. Jeremiah Fears is actually one that I don't mind. 14.5 points. He's hit this very consistently, especially without Jordan Poole. Without Jordan Poole, he's over this line in 9 out of 11 games. Matchup against Memphis is pretty good. Third most points to the pick and roll ball handler. So Jeremiah Fears, that's one that I do lean towards. And then on the side of the Grizzlies, Vince Williams' assist is one that I could entertain. 6.5 assists, gone over in 3 out of his last 4. This matchup against Dallas is a difficult one. They actually limit assists and shots to the perimeter very well. Up against the Pelicans, they give up a ton of points above the break, and that's where Vince Williams gets a lot of his assists, just moving the ball around the perimeter. So I could get behind that. 6.5 at plus money. That was a strong lean that I have. I might bet that when I wake up in the morning. Suns versus the Kings. 2 teams where I'm at a point now I don't know how to bet them, to be honest. Like, for the Suns, I think something that's always a good look is to take a look at Devin Booker's under in points because he's been struggling. He did score 31 points against Sacramento last time. He does have a really good matchup to score, though. So I might wait till Devin Booker's next difficult matchup and look to bet his under. Dylan Brooks, always a good over because this motherfucker just keeps shooting. Like, his shot volume is so high. And we still don't have a Grayson Allen, no Jalen Green in this. So Dylan Brooks should get up a lot of volume in a pretty decent matchup here against the Kings. But yeah, for the Kings, I've got no idea. Now Keegan Murray's back. You got Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, Dennis Schroeder. Honestly, the shots could go to anybody. I don't know about the Kings, honestly. And even Westbrook's rebounds and assist lines sitting at 6.5. I think that's a fair line of where it should be. So that's a little bit hard to bet. Spurs versus the Blazers. Denny Avdia screwed me over the last couple of times, so I've had enough of him, but he's got an okay matchup to score here. Shaden Sharp might be back, so the Blazers slowly coming back to full health. They might be only missing Drew Holiday. So the Blazers, I don't have any insights on. But for the Spurs, I did want to bet on De'Aaron Fox. So De'Aaron Fox over 24.5 points, over in 4 out of 8 games. He's pretty much over this line in every single game since Victor Wembanyama went out. So these are his games with Wembanyama, averaging 20 points per game. Without Wemby, averaging 26.5 over in every single game. And he's got a pretty good matchup against the Blazers. 3rd most points allowed in transition, 6th most points allowed to pick and roll ball handlers. So the matchup's pretty nice there for De'Aaron Fox. The only reason I didn't bet it is that he's finished on 28, 26, 26, 26, and you need 25. So it's going to be really tight. But based on how he has performed and the fact that he's got a good matchup, we've got a 1.5 point spread, I lean to the over there for De'Aaron Fox. And the other one I was leaning to an under on is on Luke Cornett, his points and rebounds. Since Wemby went out, Luke Cornett's been rubbish. He had one game against the Kings, but the Kings are absolutely rubbish, especially against the center spot. Since then, he's been relatively quiet. He's up against King Kong. So I'm not sure about the matchup there, but Cornett, I did lean to his under. Then we got the Rockets versus the Warriors. I can't get a read on this Golden State Warriors team. All this Rockets team right now with all the changes in their lineup. Steph Curry assist could be a sneaky spot. And I say sneaky because when I looked at his head-to-head numbers, he's either had like amazing assist numbers against the Houston Rockets or he's finished on 3. And I think this comes down to how the Houston Rockets play defense. The Rockets do play a whole lot of zone, but against a team that can shoot, you don't want to zone up too much. But they can incorporate a different type of zone here, which can really open up the assists for Steph Curry. So Curry assists at 3.5 is relatively low, but this is also juiced. So I was thinking about potentially laddering Curry assists, but I feel like with such a big slate, why do I have to take that type of risk? Although I do lean that way for sure. For the Rockets, you'd expect Şengün to do a lot, but we all expected that in his last game, and he did nothing against Phoenix. So decent matchup here against the Golden State Warriors. Don't necessarily have any. Well, I think Draymond can actually defend him now I think about it, but Draymond's questionable. We got Amen Thompson. One that I would consider is possibly his assists, 5.5 assists. The Warriors allow the 3rd most assists to guards, but I was tossing between Thompson and Reed Shepherd. I feel like with Amen Thompson, they probably don't put a lot of pressure on him and force him to pass, whereas someone like a Reed Shepherd, you don't want to let him shoot. So it probably makes sense to force him to pass the ball. So his assist interests me, but the 3.5, and this is also really juiced as well. So I'd say the lines are right, which has kind of scared me off betting them. And that's pretty much the last game. So yeah, it's a juicy slate. There's a lot of things that I don't mind. There's a lot of things I like. But we'll see. Once the injury reports are a little bit clearer, we know who's playing, then I'll get some more bets down. But for now, that's everything that I've got for you. So if you made it this far in the video, I do want to say thank you. I appreciate all the support. I wish you the absolute best of luck if you're betting on this slate. Be sure to gamble responsibly, of course. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I appreciate you. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to you live from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice on the daily. It's all free, you don't even have to pay me.